Hey, this is Tracy Smith, and we are here at Girls Talk Rock, coming to you live from the studio at CCMA in Carlsbad, California, for the show tonight. We just had an amazing artist on, Ben Allen, but we're moving to the second part of our doubleheader tonight because we have a beautiful guest here. She's ready to talk all about what she does, and you guys all have to know her name because she's amazing. This here, I'm going to introduce you right now, is Amy Day.
Thank you.
Amy Day! Come on, Amy Day's in the house. All right, Amy, tell us how you got started in music, because that's the most important thing, is how you got your start.
Okay, well, I started playing the piano when I was about 4. My grandfather taught me. So that's how I started. I just played a lot of music through school, through elementary school, high school, and spent a lot of time sort of with artists through college. And then I got away from it a little bit in my early 20s. And then I watched a movie called Once. Have you ever seen that movie?
No,
you have to watch it. All the music is all by this really incredible Irish singer-songwriter named Glenn Hansard, and a pianist named Marketa Irglova. So I watched this movie, and at the end of the movie, I'll give away the end. He buys her a piano. So she's this struggling immigrant. He buys her a piano, and it had been 3 or 4 years since I had had a piano in my house, and I thought, I'm buying myself a piano.
Totally.
So after that, I lived in these tiny places and didn't really have room for it, but I almost sold it at one point, and an appraiser came out and was like, you need to keep your piano, which ended up just being the best advice ever, because then I fell into this band that I'm with now called The Local, and I play the piano with that band and write that way, and it's just been such a wonderful thing to be able to do. So.
Where does the name The Local come from?
A couple of, I guess our origin was our drummer, Ray Daniels, naming a band is really hard, right? Naming a band is harder than naming a kid, right?
Totally,
yeah,
right?
A lot harder than naming a kid.
Yeah.
And you spend your whole life thinking, oh, that would be a great band name, that would be great, and then it never is.
Forget.
Yeah. No, you don't remember. So,
right.
We spent about a year without a name.
Wow.
But while we were writing, we weren't really playing out yet. We were just kind of
right.
finding our way. And he referred to us, so Ray's been a drummer with, a dozen bands over his lifetime, and he referred to us as his current local band.
Right.
And so then it was sort of The Local.
Like The Local.
Yeah, and then we also were huge fans of The National. A lot of our music,
there you go.
we write in a lot of kind of irregular time signatures when we do full band stuff. And so does The National, and it's kind of like, oh, The National, The Local, and then finally, our band is very much a product of, being friends who live here and met here, and just really loving being here. So that's kind of how.
Totally awesome. Well, tell us about. First of all, I want to let everybody know that right off the bat, I want to get her links because I want everybody to know where we can find her, where we can find the music, and then we're going to talk about the CD release that's coming out.
Sure. So the easiest way to find us is to go to our website, which is www.thelocalsd.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, just search for The Local SD, and you can find all of our stuff on there. And today's a great day to do it because our album is dropping on Friday.
That's right. So that's what I want to talk about next, because there's a digital release that's coming up, and she's going to tell us all about it right now.
Sure. So this is our first album. It's called Mission Trails. So again, named for a local, park that we love and that we spend a lot of time in. And so it's a 10-song album. It's our first. So yeah, it'll be available Friday, really anywhere that you get music. So it'll be on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon, and it'll be on Pandora, all that stuff. You'll be able to find us. And if you follow our links, you'll get all the notifications about it.
Right. So when it comes to collaborating, I always ask about this because a lot of artists or solo artists, like they'll write stuff on the piano or on the guitar, and then they'll bring it into the band and they'll say, hey, here's what I had in mind, here's the idea. So when it comes to collaboration, how does that work?
So our band was very much the product of a songwriting collaboration between myself and a songwriter named Scott Walsh,
right.
Who's a friend and neighbor of mine from the area. He and I, we've both been musicians for pretty much our whole lives, but we hadn't really been working on any particular project when we met and became friends and started seeing music and then kind of talking about music. And he and I write together. So he's a guitar player and a singer, and I'm a pianist and kind of singer. And so we usually just trade ideas. So we keep kind of this running file of either a chord progression on the piano or chord progression on the guitar, or lyrics without a chord progression, or an idea or a phrase or a guitar riff. And so what you hear on the album, 9 of the 10 songs on the album originated that way. One of the songs on the album, our bass player and lead guitar player Neil Hedegaard wrote years ago, and we kind of adapted it for the band. But just about everything else, it was sort of the, Scott and I collaborate, and that's how they come about. That's how we write.
That's awesome. So, do you ever get? I noticed you were at the open mic last week, which we were at the open mic as well. Exit 6 did 6 songs over there. They were the band of the night, or however Jeff Owsley likes to put that. The open mic at Navajo Live. And I saw your music, and I just fell in love with what you do. And so I basically booked her on the spot, right? Am I right? I booked her on the spot to be on the show Girls Talk Rock. And I actually had to make it a double header because I already had a guest booked today, Ben Allen. And I thought, no, we've got a CD release getting ready to drop, and she's amazing, so I've got to hurry up and get her on here. This is the way it works in San Diego. You've got to if you've got something that you're doing, which I'm all about promotion. So how do you think the open mic has been for you and everything?
I love it. It's really important for me right now because Scott, my songwriting collaborator and the lead singer of our band, is in Africa for the year.
Africa.
So right,
what?
he's in Ethiopia. His wife has this really cool job opportunity there, and so they're there for the
Totally.
year, which is awesome, and it's great for our music in a lot of different ways. But it's an opportunity for me to think about sort of expanding what I do and what I can do. So I've always been a pianist, but we like playing. I don't like playing out on piano. Because I don't like playing out on keyboards.
Right.
So, and nobody has a real piano, right? So I get to play on a real piano today, which is really exciting.
Totally.
But nobody has one, and so I've been really focusing on learning guitar, learning to sing and play guitar. And so the OMICs are just a great opportunity to do that. They're a great, they're a great way to meet other musicians. You saw me there playing with Ted Stern,
right,
who plays fiddle with us.
Right.
And so I like it for that reason. It's it's a great way to make progress on other instruments and try new things, because it's very easy to be in your own head in your living room, but when you get on a stage, it's completely different. So
totally I know. And a shout out to Jeff Owsley. I'm working on getting him on my show Girls Talk Rock, because he's also an amazing musician, singer, songwriter, and plays wonderful guitar, and he's got a great voice, so I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to Jeff. So when it comes to all the stages that you've played at in town, where do you like to play, and what is your favorite stage?
Any night when we're in OB, I love it. If we're at Mother's or at the Holding Company, that's always just a really fun night, because it's, you're going to see other bands, and then, you have your set, and then you can go down to the beach, or you can get a taco, or, those are fun nights, and there's always great energy there. No matter when you're playing, and so I'd say the OB stages are my favorite so far.
Right on.
Yeah.
So give us a shout out, if you will, to your other bandmates, because I know you're saying Scott is over in Africa, but who is your other bandmates?
So our band is it's myself. Scott Walsh does guitars and vocals. Ray Daniels is the drummer on the album, and then Neil Hedegaard plays the bass and a lot of the other lead guitars on the album. He owns Kearny Mesa, or Left Coast Studios in Kearny Mesa. So he has kind of his own place and has been there for a while. And then there are a couple of other musicians on the album. Michael Fisher, who's kind of a long time movie percussionist.
Right.
So he's played in 600 movies.
Right.
Awesome. He's a good friend of our drummer Ray. And so he laid down percussion tracks for most of the songs on the album. And then a local violinist named Jay Chu, who's really talented, plays violin on one of the tracks you're going to hear. Another former San Diego, now Washington State violinist named Eric Vargas plays violin on the album. And then Erdis Maxalaku. You know him?
Yes.
Yeah, so he plays cello.
Amazing. He plays with my girl Heather Nation.
Right.
And I book her all over the place, because they're just, anytime I can get her a gig, it's just boom, that's the girl you want, Heather Nation and Eris. Yes.
So the last song on the album is called Meteor Trail.
Right.
And that song is, it's kind of a guitar-driven song. It's sort of the last sort of sweet quieter. I'm actually going to do it now just on the piano. I'll do it today just on the piano, but he's on that song. So that song has cello and violins. It's kind of got that like swelling sort of string feeling to it. So it's a nice one. Yeah.
So I'm sure that you don't use any tracks in your music, right? Because we love to ask people about how do you feel about tracks versus live musicians playing and things like that.
Oh yeah, we're all live.
Yeah.
It's our sound. So the first song on the album is Dawnwall, and that was actually so some of our songs are recorded at Neil's studio, which is Left Coast Studios, and some are recorded at Studio West. Studio West is more of a high tech place that everything is through Pro Tools and all that. But at Neil's studio, he's still analog.
Right.
So it's reel to reel, and
right.
so I mean,
Old school, throwback.
it is, and
it's got a different sound and a different feel.
it does, and
Totally.
and that first song on the album, Dawnwall, has this real, almost like vintage texture to it because of that.
Right on.
So that's a really important part of our sound and who we are as a band. He plays. He took out a bow and played the guitar with a bow, and it gives the song like this really kind of eerie, different quality.
Kind of ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, are there any other people in town that you would like to give a shout out to? Because I know you work with a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
And you go out to a lot of.
Yeah, so Scott and I have been playing a lot with, we've got sort of the full band, and because these are songs that we have mostly written as just a duo, we also really like performing them as a duo.
Right.
And so we spend a lot of time playing out that way, and we've been doing a lot of playing with Ted Stern. So he's actually playing a gig with us in Spain in October.
Wow.
And then with Lance Dykman.
Love Lance.
Who's just, anything he touches
he's our
is
heart
magic.
player. He's our buddy.
For a lot of our live shows. So those guys are wonderful, and we love playing with them.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I can't wait because I got to tell you, Amy is so good by herself, but I can't even imagine like you in a full band setting because just the way that you play, the style, So tell us. Okay, so I tell everybody this: if you have to pigeonhole yourself. Pandora, where do you fall? What artists before and after would you say?
So for this album, because different projects have a different sound, right?
Right.
So as a solo artist, that's kind of I'm not a solo artist, right? The project,
right.
The album, I'd say, definitely the National, and maybe Wilco or Ryan Adams. There's a real sort of Americana influence to it, kind of an indie folk influence. Even though it's more sort of a general indie rock album.
That's amazing because I love Wilco. Wilco's an amazing artist, and if you listen to some of that music, that's like the best music, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I get really fixated on Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Like I'm just being like a real I gotta listen to Poor Places over and over and over.
Totally.
I don't know why, but
oh my god! All right. So do you ever think about going out there and trying to get your music in any movies? I know we asked Ben earlier that same question, but. When you're writing, do you write in the mindset of maybe someday this will be in a movie or could be a soundtrack or a trailer or?
When we write really with one question in mind, which is, does the world need this particular song, right? There's a lot of songs that the world does not need more of, and so we try not to write those. And we don't really write with anything else in mind other than that. But, what ambitions do we have for our music? Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. And our percussionist, has played on songs that have been in, American Beauty or, Memoirs of a Geisha, like all this, these amazing movies. And I think that would be incredible to see, a song in, a moment on a movie that really just fit. And we actually have a number of songs on the album that would be a great fit for that sort of thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, tell us about the tour that's coming up because you just mentioned the tour.
Yeah.
So I want to know all about how that came about and everything.
Yeah, it's not a full out tour. We're releasing this album at a weird kind of transitional time for the band because Scott's gone, and Scott is the heart of the band. So we're still really busy with all of this, and so we planned a couple shows in Spain, which is kind of easy. It's easy for him to get to from Africa, and I'll be there. It's an area where I lived when I was younger, and so we're playing in a small city called Cartagena, which is kind of on the southern coast of Spain on the Mediterranean, at a little place called La Rusticana, and then we are playing later that weekend in Granada. which Granada is this just really funky city with a really cool music scene. So we're playing a show there at a venue called Sala Planta Baja, which, you know, they get like the great like European touring bands come through there. And so we're playing with
Nice.
this great, we're playing with this great Spanish folk band called Cuesta Bajo Folk. They have a really neat album on Spotify. I love it. It's, you know, it's a Spanish language, like totally, really cool Spanish band. So Scott and I are playing, our fiddle player, and then we'll play with a couple musicians from Cuesta Bajo in our set in Granada, which we're really, really excited about. So we've got like this little
That's gonna be
Spanish
fun.
band base, and it'll be a blast. I'm
So
really
tell me
excited.
about the logistics of setting up something like that.
Yeah, that's really the interesting thing about music. I've only been playing music in a band for a few years.
Right.
It always had just sort of been on my own, and what Ben was saying earlier about finding people and not being on your own is so important, right? And so much of why these last couple of years have been such a blast is because we'll get these crazy ideas and then we just do them. And so it was like, you want to play in Europe? Yeah, why not? Right?
Who
People do
doesn't?
that. Yeah. So it was definitely tricky to figure it out. I was lucky that the first venue that we're playing at is actually owned by a childhood friend of mine.
Oh, there you
So
go.
yeah, so she kind of followed us on Facebook and
Perfect.
and then the second venue was just kind of like, why not think about what would be amazing and ask, right? And
Right.
so yeah, it just kind of came together, and we're doing it kind of through that language barrier. I'm learning, I already had some Spanish, but I didn't have music Spanish.
Right.
That's a totally different thing.
Totally.
Yeah, so so I'm learning a little music Spanish as I'm going along, and fortunately, this band that we're playing with over there, our point person in that band is an English teacher. Who's really generous with his Spanish instruction. So he's kind of helping us learn the
Awesome.
Spanish language.
Well, at least you have an interpreter, right?
Yeah.
So you can at least get back and forth on it.
Yeah.
So are you going to stay at some amazing places? That's my good question.
Oh yeah, we are. We're it's all Airbnbs through
Oh,
Spain,
right.
and that's just it's a great way to it's not like a fancy hotel thing, but Spain is just. Have you been to Spain?
No.
It's just such a spectacular country. It's such a
I bet.
special place. I haven't been. So I lived there when I was a kid, and I haven't been back since I was 12.
Right.
And so I'm really excited to go back to places that I saw when I was younger, and this time as an adult.
That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell us the name of the album again. I want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on.
It's called Mission Trails,
Right.
and it's out on Friday.
And now, where is that going to be? Where can you find it? Is there going to be
Everywhere.
a link? Or no?
There will, yeah. So you'll be able to find it. I mean, wherever it is that you get music, you will be able to find it there. If you're
Right.
a Spotify person, if you're an iTunes person, if you're a Google Play person, an Amazon person, a Pandora person, you'll be able to find us everywhere. The easiest thing is to follow us on Facebook,
Right.
because then you'll get the notifications about it, and the links will just show up right in
So you're just at the local SD on Facebook.
the local
All right.
SD. That's right.
Awesome. Do you have a website too?
Yes, www.thelocalsd.com.
There you go.
There's already 3 tracks from the album up there, but the whole album will be available to download on there also.
That's awesome. So what kind of a price are you putting on your album?
We are probably giving it away for a little while.
Okay.
I got a lot of advice that suggested that until you've kind of established, until people know your music,
Right. Here you go.
just get it into their hands, right? Like, it's not about nickel and diming people here and there to
Totally.
download our tracks. iTunes will make you pay for it and all that, and we will earn, we'll earn through Spotify if people are listening to it. But the objective with the first album is not that we want to make $700 next week off of it, but that we want to write music, or we feel that we've written music that will be relevant to people, that they can actually make part of their morning while they're making breakfast, or their night when they want to chill out, and so the objective is just to get it into their hands, however it can be best integrated into their lives.
Right. So what do you see besides the tour for your future coming up, say 2018, 2019?
We're doing a lot of writing right now.
Right.
Scott and I are doing a lot of writing. The interesting thing about this year with him overseas is that it really opens you up. It can be hard to write when you're really busy with playing out, right? And so, we over the last year, we played out a ton. And so that didn't afford as much time to think about what we were writing.
Right.
And so right now, we're just in a really great, sort of songwriting mode. that I think will give us a lot of material for a more folk-oriented album, I think, a more sort of Americana-oriented album
Right.
with more of an acoustic sound. This album that's being released on Friday is not really sort of a purely acoustic kind of an album. So I think we'll probably be heading in more of an acoustic direction with other musicians, with a lot of the stuff that we're writing right now, having, you know, sort of new interesting experiences, and, you know, sometimes it can be hard to have something to write about when you're just hanging out with people you like, being super happy. And so, you know, kind of changing that and having a different daily routine because of it, you know, creates for a lot of new material. So that's been really exciting. Yeah.
Do you think that, because now Scott's over in Africa, do you think that he's going to bring in any African type influences maybe in the near future in some of your writing?
I'm sure. He has already brought in not musical influences, but lyrical influences, right? So,
okay.
So, you know, songs about what it is, you know, what it feels like to be an American in a place that's so different, and, you know, the new experiences that he's having, and the things that are amazing about it, and the things that are challenging about that. So lyrically, it's already influencing us, influencing him. And I'll be interested to see whether it will in terms of the sound, because, okay, so I went to China in the spring, and I brought back this like Chinese instrument thing, and it just, I mean, like, we were just ridiculous with it. Like, it didn't do anything for us. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see about the actual African influences. I don't know that we're gonna, you know, do like a Paul Simon thing, but how could it not, right? When you meet new people and you hear new sounds,
Right.
We like capturing found sound, you know. Like if you're someplace interesting and there's like a cool sound going on, you know, it's neat to be someplace different and capture that and kind of integrate it into something that
So
you're
then
doing.
what do you do? You like hear a sound and then you like take out your phone and like go to your voice record,
Yep.
and then maybe incorporate
Just record it.
into that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Because not too many people are like thinking outside the box like that when they go to write, you know?
Yeah. I was in you know, I was in Beijing, and I just kind of came upon this group of, like, you know, they must have been 80 or 90-year-old men with accordions and just singing out, like they were just singing, and the sound was just, it was amazing. Like it was obviously just this group of old guys who'd probably done it forever, you know.
Right.
They weren't doing it for, no one was really watching them, and I just kind of captured that. And that Cuesta Bajo folk album that I mentioned, the one from the band in Spain, you know, they've got this little section of their album where they pulled out their phone and it was like in their kitchen and captured their kids singing, you know, singing kind of a piece of the album, and that can be really neat.
That's kind of cool.
Texture to music.
So now when it comes to, we were talking about open mics, when it comes to building audiences, I want to know, how hard do you think it is nowadays to either reach fans or get some sort of a following going?
You know, I think that social media makes it pretty easy. You know, I've never done it at any other time, so I don't have anything to compare it to.
Right.
But I think social media makes it easy to reach fans. At the same time, there's really no substitute for going out and meeting actual people with your actual
Right.
instruments.
Networking.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of have this impression that they can just write, you know, this song that's going to be like, have this meteoric rise because it's just going to get discovered on Instagram or
Totally.
something.
Totally.
And I think that's a fiction. I think that if you're doing music for any reason other than, well, I won't speak for others. I do music because I like, you know, F sharp minor in a room with people who are cool, you know? And I think that when people like your music or appreciate their music, there's just a lot to be said for them actually having seen you and you know, and met you and heard you do your thing. And so I think there's no substitute for that. And we've done our best over the last couple of years to, you know, to put up content that we think that people will like, and so that the people who follow us are not sort of random, like clicking on this and looking at the Kardashians and then doing that, but, you know, they've seen us and they would have a reason to listen to the album that's coming out, and to think about our music.
Cool.
Well, let's talk a little bit about education when it comes to music. So, did you go to school for music, or are you just self-taught? Do you read music? What do you do? Because you're a piano player.
Yeah. And I think most piano players read music, right?
Right.
No, and it's an interesting question because I started out as a piano player. It was my grandfather who taught me initially, and then I took some lessons here and there. So yeah, I read music. And when I first started playing in the band setting, it was actually hard to move away from sheet music and into, you know, because nobody else does that. That's a piano thing, where I would, you know, I'd kind of feel uncomfortable being away from that way of playing piano. And so the last few years have been, you know, really very much a process of letting that go and thinking about like what the piano was really there for, and just remembering a basic chord progression as opposed to like really caring like exactly, you know, how that would be reflected in sheet music. It almost seems silly now, but
Right.
at first when you're making that transition, it's like you got your sheet music and you turn in your pages, and you know, that's kind of in the past at this point. I didn't go to school for music, but I always played,
Right.
and I always, you know, my core group of friends when I was younger were all the musicians and the drama kids, and most of them went to school for music.
Right.
And it's interesting circling back with them now that we're a little older, you know, not having done music as a career, you know, just feeling like it's something that you can always come back to, even if it wasn't kind of your academic focus when you were younger, and it
Right.
wasn't mine, but it's always been there.
So you love the piano. That's the bottom line.
I love the piano.
That's awesome. All right, so coming up, we're going to have Amy play because I want everybody to know who she is and what she does and what she sounds like on the piano. And so I'm going to have my husband just turn the camera again, and we got to make sure this time that the camera doesn't fall. And shout out to Lee Smith, who's my hubby over there behind the camera. We're going to move over here so that Amy can take care of business.
Well, play the piano.
Well, take care of business. This, everybody, this is Amy Day.
Okay, so the first song I'm going to do is a song called "Time to Move On," which is a song on the album that I wrote with the local. It's not on the album. It's not performed as a piano solo, but I've kind of, you know, adapted this as piano stuff for you guys today. Feels like I've known you forever. You always had a foot out the door. Feels like I've known you since yesterday. And I knew that you'd leave and you'd leave me wanting more. Was I more than a friend of convenience? A hand I could lend in return. Never knew you'd have so much to teach me. Never thought I'd have so much to learn. Won't know till after you're gone if you're one who will make it. Won't know as long as you're here if you're one who will stay. So I'll give what I got just as long as you'll take it. If you give me the best that you got till it's time to move on. I knew from the moment I met you, I miss you when you run away. We'll be frozen in time like a memory, or our face I'll still love when the golden has faded to gray. Won't know till after you're gone if you're one who will make it. Won't know as long as you're here if you're one who will stay. So I'll give what I got just as long as you'll take it. If you give me the best that you got till it's time to move on. Won't know till after you're gone if you're one who will make it. Won't know as long as you're here if you're one who will stay. So I'll give what I got just as long as you'll take it. If you give me
Hey, Amy Day. All right, I'm going to stay off camera for a minute because I want to let Amy do a second song since she's at the piano.
Okay.
And I want just tell us about this one and what's going on with it.
Sure. The last song that I'm going to do is called Meteor Trail,
Right.
which is the 10th song off of the album. And this song is already available on thelocalsd.com. This is the one that we did with Jay and Ardis, and it's got strings and all that fun stuff. But
Awesome. I
here it
can't
is
wait to
on
hear
piano.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, go, Amy.
I know you wander for great divide, from who you are to who you thought you'd be. I know you wander, but can't decide just what you are and what you mean to me. But if you wait a lifetime, you'll never hear me say that you should let it go. And if you wait a lifetime, you'll never hear me say what you already know. You might not make it there, my friend. I'll follow you if you show me the way. You might not make it there, my friend. I'll follow you if you show me the I know you wonder from time to time if who I am is who I let you see. When no one's looking, how hard I try, how good enough's not good enough for me. But if you wait a lifetime, you'll never hear me say that you should let it go. And if you wait a lifetime, you'll never hear me say what you already know. You may not make it there, my friend. I'll carry you if you will show me the way. You may not make it there, my friend. I'll carry you if you will show me the way.
Woo, Amy Day. We're going to go back to the
Awesome.
couch. My husband's going to spin the mic back around. Yo, Ralph. Lee. There we go. Lee, my husband behind the camera. What a great camera operator, right? He's with me on every show, and we actually love him. We love him. We love him.
And he's a phenomenal bass player.
And he is a
Thank you.
phenomenal
I
bass
had the
player.
privilege of seeing him last week at the Navajo Live. and it was
Right?
beautiful. Mhm.
So, Lee, when's our next show for Exit 6?
September 22nd
Where at?
at the San Juan Hills Golf Club.
There we go.
It's a very fun place.
Got to give a shout out to Lee and his band Exit 6. They're incredible blues rock band, and yes, he is a great bass player. He's been playing many, many years. So I just want to commend you on writing, because that was a brilliant piece of work. I mean, on the piano, I just love the piano work. Kind of reminded me, throwback a little bit, maybe Beatles, maybe
Well,
some of the classics.
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
So the second song that I played there, Meteor
Right.
Trail, was originally was written as so Scott wrote a guitar riff first.
Right.
There's actually no piano in the song on the album.
Right.
Because it definitely has that Let It Be feel, because as you're
It
going
does.
because that's the scale that you're playing, right?
Right.
But it's a guitar song. Scott wrote a chorus, so he gave me kind of the guitar part and then the chorus, and then I added in like a simple guitar and some verses, and then it's really one of the most truly collaborative songs that we did, because every member of the band really kind of contributed something, and then we worked with all these other great musicians. So it's really fun to have the opportunity to come do it here just as a piano song, because I mean, unless I was doing this by myself, I would never even have thought to put it on piano. So, and
Awesome.
I would never realize that it's kind of a lot like Let It Be, but.
No, I mean, it just has that
Yeah.
really classic, when I say Beatles, I mean, it's got that sound, but it's got that classic feel to
Yeah,
it. That
yeah.
actual classic feel.
Thank you.
Oh my God. So, when it comes to writing, I know you said you write mostly on the piano. Have you moved to the guitar at all in your writing,
Yeah.
or what are we doing there?
Yeah, I mean, I think for most songwriters, I think for a lot of songwriters, it's really just a matter of what instrument is in your hand, and then
Right.
you kind of make a mistake on something, and then it's a new song. And so for a while, I was mostly on the piano, and so I was mostly writing on the piano. But since we've moved and more, to play more gigs as an acoustic duo, and I've been on the guitar more and had it in my hands more, I like singing with a guitar in my hands. And so I've been writing more on guitar more lately, and spend more guitar.
Do you think
doing it.
that's the way the kind of like the natural progression of where you're going as an artist, or are you still going to have the opportunity to put out a keyboard and hook it up and play keys also?
I'll always come back to the piano, and it'll always be, it'll always be what I'm sort of more specialized in, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think that the guitar, what your last guest Ben was saying about not the band that he was in, not writing anything that couldn't also be played live.
Right.
I like that when we're writing on guitar, we really are writing with a live set in mind. And different people do music for different reasons, right? And
Right.
and part of the really the biggest reason that I do it is that I love a live set. I love that experience and that feeling, and to me it's really kind of like a form of meditation almost, because you cannot have anything on your mind, right? You can't be doing anything else if you are on stage with an instrument. If you do, you mess up. You have to be 100% present in what you're doing. So I love that feeling of like, nobody can call me right now, nobody can bug me right now. My mind is on
That's
nothing
right.
but what I'm singing, what I'm saying, and what the people I'm playing with are doing. So I love that feeling, and so I've been on guitar more because that allows us to be doing stuff that is more amenable to a live set.
Now, do you find it do you find it more creative? Okay, so your creative juices, do they get flowing more on the piano, or do you think now, because you're moving to guitar, that it's giving you a different mindset, so therefore the creativity is higher or heightened?
I don't know that there's any real difference. I mean, I think I kind of keep this running file on my phone of ideas, like when a phrase is interesting, or when a concept is interesting, I have that, and then we have this sort of collaborative file of chord progressions or riffs or whatever that we want to start working from. And so I think for us, we can come at it from any direction. Either I'll get some new music from Scott that I feel like I have lyrics to put over. That's very often that's our process. Is he has the music, and then we'll kind of work together on lyrics, or I'll have it and then we'll work together on lyrics, and it can come in any one of those ways. We're not one of those bands that writes kind of like in a jam session,
Right.
with a bigger band.
Right.
As between just the two of us, sometimes we can write kind of in real time that way, but that's not the way any of the music came. It's much more a chord progression or a riff and then lyrics over it, and that's kind of the heart of all the songs.
Well, now, do you also do any teaching on either piano or guitar, or are you thinking about it in the near future, maybe teaching the youth at all?
No, the only youth I teach are the youth in my law school.
We're going to talk music today, but she is in the...
My title is Associate Professor of Lawyering.
There you go. At the Thomas Jefferson School of Law. So I'm just want everybody to know, like, it doesn't just take, somebody that's brilliant in music. It takes somebody that's brilliant in life, I say, to create brilliant music. And it's really hard to be a lawyer. I mean, come on, how hard is it to be a lawyer?
Yeah, well, I'm not a lawyer anymore. I'm a teacher.
A lot of
Yeah.
schooling, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, come on, to teach law is better than just to be a lawyer. But that's fine. And that's my husband. My husband's phone has died. He's okay because it doesn't matter. Oh, no signal? Are we not live anymore? We're not live anymore? Dude, come on. Plug your phone in and unplug mine. Oh my God. So what are we gonna do? Just like go do another show, or
How long
like
ago did it?
like restart?
It just happened.
It didn't want me to talk about law school.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, why weren't you plugged in the whole time?
It didn't. It just popped up. Okay, I'm sorry.
It
Okay,
usually gives you a 20% warning and then a 10% warning.
your phone's plugged in.
Ah!
That was a
Okay.
nice long show, though.
So well,
It was
fine.
40-some minutes. It was almost 45 minutes.
We talked about all this
So
stuff.
how the hell are we gonna end it? I'll just have to say that my husband's phone died, and I'm Tracy
We got a
Smith,
lot
and
of
this
stuff
is
in.
Amy
I mean, it was
Day.
like almost
We're Girls
45
Talk
minutes.
Rock.
There's nothing I can do,
All right.
darling.
Well, let me look at my phone then, because if we're
I
offline,
mean, it just.
hold on. Is it gonna actually say? Oh my God. Okay. So, do I have to? I have to go finish.
No, but it was a great. I mean,
Do I have to go finish?
you guys talk, and we had a lot of people actually watching the